Welcome to this episode of Mainline Connect. My name is Jennifer Lynn Robinson, and my guest today is Paul Isenberg, the co-founder and CEO of Bringing Hope Home. Thank you for being here, Paul.
Thanks for having me, Jennifer. I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
I'm more excited.
You're more excited? Good. I like that. I like when my guests are excited. So I wanted to start out talking a bit about networking. We always start the show with that. And, it's sometimes difficult to promote a new nonprofit. I know you're not new anymore, but obviously you started as a new nonprofit. And tell me about, kind of the importance of face-to-face networking for kind of spreading awareness and fundraising for your nonprofit.
I think it's tremendously important. We were really made on the backs of our network. My other co-founder, Timmy Sherry, and I, who's on our board now, we had our first event in 2001, the first Great Guy Dinner.
Okay.
And we put it together in a very short period of time with just our network. People that we were fortunate enough to earn their trust and earn goodwill with.
Yeah.
And we were able to put together a 100-person event in a pretty short period of time that has now grown to a 600-person event. And it's really the backbone of how we started. And I tell people all the time that if you need a good network in order to be successful, no matter how you define success, right?
Right.
And what I tell folks all the time is that what we try to do is we try to bring value into the networking relationship first. When we meet people, we often say, hey, Jennifer, nice to meet you. What do you need?
Right.
How can I help? What can I do for you? And I think when you start that way, it's really the best way to start.
Yeah, I mean, people who have seen the show before know that I'm constantly talking about this book, Give and Take by Adam Grant. Have you ever read it?
No, I should.
Yeah, so it's Adam Grant is a professor at Wharton who also has a psychology background, and he has another book that's out right now, but this was his first one, and it basically analyzes people in society and says if they're givers, takers, or makers.
I have read that book, and I heard him speak a couple times.
Yeah.
Younger guy.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah.
So one of the things that he focuses on in that book that I always talk about is the idea of the 5-minute favor. So I love the fact that you brought up adding value. I think that that's so important, not only in building relationships, but when you first meet people, instead of the whole, what can you do for me? It's more, what can I do for you? I think people really appreciate that. It adds value to them right away, and you can grow the relationship from there in a more positive way.
Yep.
I think. Yeah.
I agree.
So I know I've recommended it before, but Give and Take, if you haven't read it, it's kind of my networking Bible.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, and he's a great speaker. Yeah. So you started Bringing Hope Home in 2008. I know before that you had started it, but it was called, I just want to get the name right, the Great Guy Group, right?
Correct.
So really you started earlier than that, I guess.
Yeah.
The Bringing Hope Home was, you had the name change in 2008.
Yeah, so what we did was we started our Great Guy Dinner in 2001.
Right.
And we called it the Great Guy Dinner because we invited whoever we wanted.
Was it only guys? I guess it
no.
was.
Okay. I kind of call men and women guys, just call everybody guys. And we started in 2001. We only invited people we liked.
Okay.
That's why it's called the Great Guy Dinner.
Okay.
And it grew and it grew. And for the first 8 years, we did it to benefit the American Cancer Society.
Okay.
We weren't an entity. We didn't have payroll. We didn't have anything.
Right.
And we grew it substantially. And then between years 7 and 8, we had raised over $500,000 since we started for the American Cancer Society. And one of the guys who'd been coming to the dinner every year passed away.
Okay.
And we heard his wife was struggling. So we went to one of our sponsors and said, every year you write us a $5,000 check. This year, write the American Cancer Society a $3,000 check, and let's get $2,000 and we'll give it to this family who's having a hard time. That's how we started.
Okay.
And then we really liked the way that felt, so we started our own charity. We did some research. We found out there were really no other charities doing the thing we wanted to do.
Right.
So we formed the Great Guy Group in 2008, and then I think in probably 2012, we changed the name to Bringing Hope Home, which was our tagline. We were the Great Guy Group, Bringing Hope Home.
Got it. Okay.
And then we own both domains, fortunately, so we became Bringing Hope Home.
So now you're just known as Bringing Hope Home.
Just known as Bringing Hope Home.
Okay. So tell us about the mission.
So we provide unexpected amazingness to local families with cancer.
I love that.
Yeah, unexpected amazingness came because we did a survey of all the families that we've helped, and we said, what words would you use to describe Bringing Hope Home? And unexpected and amazing were the two top words. So we formed our own word.
Right.
So what we do is we provide emotional and financial support to local families with cancer. Financially, we pay rent, mortgage, utility, car payment, food, whatever those families need when they're going through a tough time. It's one-time assistance. The families have to be nominated by their social worker at the healthcare facilities. We're in over 65 healthcare facilities. And our territory, as it were, is Philadelphia and surrounding counties,
Okay.
South Jersey, Cherry Hill to the shore, and the state of Delaware.
So you have to be in one of those geographical areas. Okay.
You have to be in our area and going through some type of cancer treatment.
Okay.
And
And I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
And also, you need to have a social worker,
Yep.
or
Social worker on
okay.
the first of every month. They nominate families to us.
Got it. Okay.
We don't help patients. We help families.
Okay.
There are families, and we do our very best to treat them like family. And we help any type of person with any type of cancer.
Okay. So yeah, so I actually, and I know I've told you this, I heard you speak at Society for Professional Women, and I was so inspired. And I know that, you know, all of this started when your wife unfortunately passed away from cancer. And, you know, I'm sure that was a very tough time for you and your children at the time. Tell us about, you know, looking back on it now that it's been some years and you have hopefully some perspective on it. How did you get through, you know, whether it's cancer or losing a loved one or something else, people go through very rough times in life, and sometimes it's very hard to bounce back from that and kind of move on with your life. And, you know, some people are not able to. How do you think you guys were able to? What did you kind of draw upon?
I think that for me, it's my faith. You know, we have a saying, and we've always had a saying, is God doesn't give you anything you can't handle. We just
Right.
didn't wish He had so much faith in us.
Right.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
And when Nicole was diagnosed, our son Christopher was 2, and she was pregnant. Nicole was pregnant with Gabby, and she wasn't feeling good, and she wasn't gaining weight, and it turned out she had stage 4 Hodgkin's disease. So she gave birth to Gabby, and then went right into treatment.
Wow. Okay.
And during that time, it was really hard, but she was really brave, and she was so strong. She wanted to be there for the kids. She was sick for 6.5 years.
Yeah.
We had great family and friends that were there for us in every way possible. We had great doctors and nurses at Penn and NIH. We had, I was working as a corporate sales guy, and we always had really good companies that were very flexible.
Okay.
And allowed me to be home and, you know, be down with her at the hospital and be part of that. We had friends at church, at school, at the neighborhood. We were just really blessed. And during that time, we really focused on our faith and our family. And it's amazing what you can get done when you strip away a lot of things in your life.
Right.
When
I agree with you.
when you are only focusing on 2 things, you can get a lot done. And we really did that. We really tried to do that. And, you know, we started the charity because I would go with Nicole down to get chemo at Penn as she was going through her chemo. And you get talking to people in the waiting room, and there's people down there that have support, and then there's people down there that don't have
Right.
anybody. I mean, they don't have anybody. Not anybody.
Right, no family,
no
no friends,
family,
no support
nobody.
system. Yeah.
And I sometimes say to people, like, oh, like a couple people? I'm like, no, they don't have anybody.
Yeah.
So we just really had a hard time accepting that people had to go through this by themselves or behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
So it was Nicole's idea to do the Great Guy Dinner, and then we just grew from there.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I've been through a rough time in my
Right.
life as well, different sort of rough time, but I think initially I retreated.
Oh, okay.
You know, I feel like I was going through so much that I kind of didn't return calls, didn't want to see people, you know, and as I kind of was forced to kind of have that brought back in, like, you know, people insisting, my husband insisting, you know, people come over, my close friends saying, no, I don't care if you want to see
Yeah.
us, we're going to come anyway.
Yeah.
Saw the positivity in that, you
Yeah.
know, like you were saying, of having the support system around you. I think it's easy to kind of withdraw
Yeah.
and say, I'm just going to try to deal with this on myself. But the more you can have people around you to help you go through things, I think the easier it is, you know.
No,
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
And we just had our Great Guy Dinner, and we had 5 family honorees that were there, their whole family, because we try to take care of the whole family.
Yeah.
And we thanked them. And a couple of them were like, well, you guys did it for us. I'm like, no. When you let people into your life when you're at your lowest or
Yeah.
your most challenged, that's true intimacy.
Absolutely.
I mean, when you let your friends come and see you when you're all banged up and you're not feeling good about anything, right?
Right.
And a lot of the families that we help, we don't always meet them. A lot of it's over the phone because
Okay.
they can't get out,
Yeah.
you know, and we say to them, we really appreciate you letting us become part of your family and you become part of ours, because that's what's going to make us strong. So, and we let these people, we know these people, they're important to us.
Yeah.
You know, and we all know what it's like, because when you're in a rough situation, it's really like, it just sits on top of everybody in the house and in the family, and it's a lot.
It is a lot.
And
Yeah.
we try to bring some hope to that home,
Absolutely.
truly.
Yeah, so the families that you do work with this closely, once they've kind of gone through the time where you've had the one-time assistance for them and you've worked with them, do you kind of stay in touch with them? Or
Sure.
there reunions? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, really good lead-in. We stay in touch with them on the emotional side as much as we can.
Okay.
We have great partnerships with so many of the sports teams locally, and if there's extra tickets and if we can get them, we send a family.
Okay.
And in fact, May 22nd, and people can go on our website, bringinghopehome.org, under events. We have a family reunion on, I think it's Sunday the 22nd. It's versus the Braves.
Of May?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, thank you, May 22nd. We're having a tailgate party, Xfinity Live, and it's $45, and it gets you food and tickets and a T-shirt. And the families that we've helped last year, they can come at no charge, but people that we've helped in the past and anybody else that wants to come, just come be part of it. We have 5Ks. We have a big 5K June 25th down in Sea Isle.
Okay.
Our families can come run in that or just be part of it.
Yeah.
They don't have. We had last year was really great. One of our families, she was a runner and she hadn't run since she was diagnosed a couple years ago, and she finished.
Okay.
She
That's
ran it,
wonderful.
which is great.
Yeah.
It's great. So there's a lot of good stuff going on out there, and we want people to be part of us. They can come volunteer in the office. They can volunteer in an event. They can speak at an event, whatever they want.
Okay, so yeah, that's a great kind of tie into the opportunities to work with you guys, and then also some of the signature events that you have. I know you've mentioned the Great Guy Dinner, you have the 5K, and you just mentioned something else as well.
Well, we have the family reunion.
The family
we
reunion.
have the 5K in June. Then September's real big for us. We'll have a golf outing.
Okay.
Another 5K in Westchester.
Wow.
We'll have a fashion show in the fall.
Okay.
We have an adopt a family program at Christmas. So there's plenty to do.
Plenty to get involved with.
Plenty to do. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know that the Great Guy Dinner that you've mentioned, you just had your one for this year, I think last week maybe,
yeah.
right? And how did it go?
It went phenomenal.
Yeah.
We were very happy. For us, it's about everybody having a good time.
Yeah.
And it was the 5 families that we honored were great. One of our families that we've helped in the past that stays involved with us, Tim Miller, spoke and really hit home about the impact of it on his family and how Bringing Hope Home was able to help. And his boys were there, and we've kind of watched his boys grow up over the last 5 or 6 years. And one of the other families, Doug, was there. I was just saying to one of my team today, we had over 600 people there, I'm sure.
Wow.
Or almost close to 600. And I think I saw the most amount of families that just came out. We probably had 10 to 15 families that we've helped in the past just being a part of us.
Yeah.
And that was so wonderful.
Yeah.
It was so wonderful.
So, I know you said at the beginning, you started basically doing these dinners with just like the guys you knew and liked, or guys and women that you liked, and now it's grown into almost 600 people. Besides the families, like how has it grown? Has it been basically the network of people you deal with, or how have you grown the dinner?
We work really hard, and because of our network is predominantly businesses, we have a lot of corporate sponsorship.
Okay.
And we try to make the corporate sponsorship be valuable. So if you said to me, there's somebody I'd like to meet, I understand they're in your network, I'd say, great, come sponsor the dinner and I'll sit you with them.
Okay. That's wonderful.
We've worked really hard to try to bring that value. It doesn't always work out.
Yeah.
Doesn't always line up. But at the same time, we also have worked really hard that when you help a family in need, we connect you to that family. So you'll get, at the very least, a note that says, hey, thank you so much for helping. Here's Mary. And, Mary's 45 and going through this and has this quote about what you did. So thank you.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, so we work really hard on making that connection. I think a lot of times charities don't always make that connection. So there's so many good charities, especially in this area. I think in the Philly area there's like 35,000 charities. And all of them are valuable, and all of them do something really wonderful for society. It's incumbent upon us to make you get connected with the mission, really connected, as opposed to being this, here's my hand, it's out, write a check, and then you might see something.
Yeah.
So I think it's really incumbent upon charities to be in the business of making that connection.
Okay, and I love that because, one of the things I was just going to ask about, and I think this tied into it, your answer already, is, I worked with big companies when I was still an attorney, and I feel like a lot of big companies kind of have a few designated charities that they work with, be it a March of Dimes or American Cancer Society or United Way, that are bigger charities. So, I was going to ask about how you kind of, as a smaller, and especially when you were a newer charity, get on the radar of some of these companies to sponsor you. And it sounds like it's all about kind of being inclusive as far as engaging people and having that personal connection with the people that they're helping.
Yeah, I think for us, back to the beginning, it was our network. We were connected with people that were, pretty responsible in the organization. And then we work really hard to go in. First of all, we work really hard, period.
Right.
So that just requires a lot of work. The second thing is, when we go in and talk to a corporate sponsor, what are they trying to accomplish? Yeah, they want to write a check. Some corporations want to write a check and don't want any recognition. Other corporations want to write a check and want everyone to know.
Right.
Other corporations, they'll write you a check, but they're more interested in employee engagement and getting their employees bonding and connecting over an opportunity. So we go in with our ears open many, many times and just say, we want all your money.
Right.
Because we do. But at the same time, what can we do to make it a valuable experience for you? How do you measure that? And I think going in with that attitude has been really helpful to us.
Yeah, I think that's so important. I mean, I've worked with a number of nonprofits in my life, and I feel like a lot of times they have designated, here's our gold package, here's this package, and they kind of either send it out or meet with people and say, here's your options, this is what we can offer you, these are the benefits. And if those benefits aren't valuable to the companies, they might decide not to get involved, even if it's a worthwhile cause. So the idea that you go and it's the individual kind of, what does your company need? What can we do for you? I think that's so important for people out there who are trying to, fund nonprofits and raise awareness and raise, the, visibility. It's really important to see what the other people want, that, it's a two-way street. Yes, they want to give, but they, like you said, they also want to see some benefit from it.
Yeah, and I think that coming from a business perspective, as we have on our side, has been really advantageous to us, because that's really what business is.
Yeah.
You don't want to get into a relationship where you're given everything. You want to get into a relationship where it's a partnership, a true partnership. So when we have, it's kind of funny, we have organizations that they're like, don't tell anybody we're doing it. We just want to do it and have our employees engaged.
Okay.
We don't want any marketing presence.
Right.
So we work hard not to give them any marketing presence. Or we might have an industry doesn't want to do golf. Golf's just something they don't want to do.
Yeah.
So we figured out. So.
Do you have a lot of companies where the employees come to some of these events that we've talked about and volunteer and get involved?
Yeah, a lot of times what will happen is a company will sponsorship and they'll send 5 people.
Okay.
And next thing you know, they're adopting a family at Christmas to buy Christmas presents and pay bills for that family, whether they're doing it in their department or their family.
Right.
Or their kids' school. We have a whole school program. Kids today, in high school especially, have to do service hours.
Right.
Right? So why not give them an opportunity to get service hours in a really organized way? Caitlin Mann, who's on our team, she runs it. We're now a club at 5 or 6 colleges. We're in about 30 high schools. We're in about 25 secondary schools.
That's great.
And we're having a lot of fun with it. We just had Westchester University, our Westchester University club
which is your alma mater.
Which is my alma mater. It's the alma mater of our entire family. They just won the club of the year out of like 380 clubs.
And so is that based on the amount of money they raised, or how does that work?
I'm not sure. I think it's just based on the activity level, the amount of money, the feedback of the kids. And what I'm really proud about is Westchester didn't give them a budget.
Okay.
A lot of these clubs will get a little bit of a budget, and Westchester didn't get a budget. They did it all themselves. I couldn't be more proud of the kids.
That's great.
And these are our first kids. They just graduated.
Yeah.
Saturday, so it was like a really proud moment for us.
Sure.
And we're out at Robert Morris. We're at Rowan. We're at Haverford, right down the street, wherever we can. So we're trying to find the outlets to give people the opportunity to get connected.
And are your own children involved with the nonprofit?
You know what? My 3 kids are at different schools. We don't have a presence there right now. The one who's going to go to Westchester next year, she said she would like to join the class. I don't push.
Okay. Right.
It's what she wants to do.
Okay.
Because otherwise they'd be taking the trash out on their own and doing the dishes, but I don't push.
Right. So you talked about being at a lot of these local schools, and I noticed just from looking at your nonprofit website, you have kind of an entire young professionals program.
We have an entire.
Tell us about that. Yeah.
So what we're trying to do is put together the continuum of giving, right?
Sure.
Which everybody's trying to do. It's not an original idea.
Actually, not everyone's trying to do it, but it's a good idea.
We're trying.
Yeah.
So, like our kids that just graduated from Westchester, we just had them to dinner at a local restaurant.
Okay.
And, I think out of the 10 officers, I think 4 are graduating. So we said, next year,
Yeah.
you can stay involved. Just come through our young professionals group. So the young professionals can come down and be part of the Phillies game. We have, they can be part of our fashion show in the fall. They can be part of Adopt a Family through the company. We want to give them an easy way to get involved. And really with young professionals, as much as older professionals, it's about making it easy. So we basically provide them the opportunity to come to our events at a discounted rate and get involved where they want.
That's great. Yeah, I think that's really important. I've heard from
and
a lot
network.
And network,
Yeah.
right. The networking component's important. And I think also looking at where their interests are or their skill sets and making sure that the volunteer opportunities match that. I think that's a mistake a lot of nonprofits make. I'm not saying your own, but they have needs and they say, okay, well, we have these young people come in, we'll put them in these spots, and then they don't feel like they're making the kind of contribution they want to make, and they don't stay engaged and they don't continue. So the fact that you're really looking at, what their wants are and their skill sets, I think is a great way to keep them involved as years, come.
Yeah, what we've learned is the worst thing you can do for a volunteer is not give them something to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
First of all, you have to be honest with them, because there's a lot of really great charities out there that you can go every day and do something hands-on.
Right.
That's not really us. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes work. There's a lot of phone calling. There's a lot of data entry, but there's not a lot of hands-on. So, we tell people you can come volunteer, but it might be a day of data entry. It might be a day of answering the phones or calling and surveying a family. And some people really like that. Other
Some
people don't.
really don't, yeah.
And it's important to give them and then we'll say to them, well, if that doesn't work, come volunteer at a 5K. It's really fun. You get to be a course marshal. You get to talk to the runners. There's always an event afterwards. So, and come be part of that. And we'll take that all day. But if you have 20 volunteers show up and there's only enough for 3 people to do something.
And I've seen that happen.
I've seen it happen too. We've been guilty of it.
Okay.
And we've learned. So that's not good for anybody.
No, and I think, I love that you mentioned networking, because I think a lot of, kind of that millennial generation, young people that are coming out of school, they're looking for those networking opportunities. And maybe they don't realize, right off the bat that doing volunteer work or sitting on a nonprofit board, is a way that they can really get into networking. I think a lot of people out there think about networking as going to a traditional business event and handing out cards and things like that. But I think, this is a much more meaningful way to get involved and really get to know people. And especially if it's a cause that, you really are personally vested in, being able to network and volunteer with people who are equally vested in that particular cause, I think is a great way to build a relationship.
No, I think that's really correct. And for us, and for me personally, I'm the CEO, but I work nonstop. And not that I'm at the office nonstop, but I'm always working. Like I should be like the chief evangelical officer because I'm talking about us to everybody. How can you fit you in? Do you want to be part of it? I don't really ask people for money at like backyard cookouts or anything, but I bring my card and, hey, if you want to get involved, shoot me an email.
Yeah.
And I think that should be the case if you're building a brand, whether it's a personal brand or it's a product brand.
Absolutely.
When we go out to, like, I'm a member at we're a member at 2 different chambers, Mainline and Philly.
Okay.
We're a member of the Union League that we pay for out of our own pocket. We're a member of different committees within those organizations, and it's about giving back, number one, and number 2, it's about spreading the word on what we do.
Yeah.
We've helped over 3,000 families since we started in 2008. We're at 3,200 as of last week, and it amazes me, and I don't really know why, but there's a lot of people that never heard of us.
Yeah.
And that, it's like, I talk about it all the time, but there's so many people moving in so many different directions. It's such a fast rate of speed. You have to do that.
I actually, before I had heard you speak at Society for Professional Women, I hadn't heard of your
organization. You're in the industry at some level, right?
Sure. And I went and looked you guys up, and like I said, I was impressed with your talk, and I wanted to learn more. But no, I hadn't heard of you before. So yeah, you always have to be trying to spread the word constantly.
Just when you think like you've told everybody, there's a busload of people that haven't heard it.
Yeah, so the kind of thing that I saw you do where you kind of come out to an event and speak to people about, your mission and your services and all that, do you do a lot of that? Or?
Do a lot of that,
yeah.
Yeah. I would tell you, when you look at my job as CEO or executive director, but we position as CEO, you're 100% of my job. 70% of it is out and spreading the word.
Yeah.
And fundraising.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, 20% of it is running the organization, and 5% of it is working with the board. And I think that's okay. I talk about that.
I think that's how it should be, really.
Well, I think so too. But
Yeah.
and then I have a great board. One of the best things we ever did was take 2 years and build a board that was phenomenal. And then the other thing we did is put together a phenomenal team that I can go out and do that while I know things are being handled properly from a business side.
Absolutely. So I know you have a business background before
Yeah.
you started this. How do you think that served you as far as growing the nonprofit?
I think it served me really, really
It sounds like
well.
it has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think also probably the thing that served us best as an organization is we don't know everything, so we listen to people. We tell people all the time, if you have a really good idea, we'd love to hear about it. And I think from my business background is all about bringing people and opportunities together to see if there's a fit. That's really what I do every day. My job has not really changed from when I was selling, for Haverford Trust.
Okay.
When I was selling for Shared Medical Systems, which is now Siemens, or when I was selling for Scott Paper, which is now part of Kimberly-Clark. It was always the same job, just a different avenue of how to deliver it. And now what I do is I offer people an opportunity to get involved in helping local families with cancer. Does that fit? Do you like that? Do you want to learn more?
Yeah.
And if the answer is no, it's okay.
Right.
It's okay to say no to me.
And I guess, being in sort of that business sales arena for so long, you're okay with hearing no. You have to be okay with hearing no, right?
You have to be. And,
Yeah.
and it's, I often start out my lunches or my appointments with people like, I'm going to ask you for everything. It's okay to tell me no.
Yeah.
It's okay. You can't give everything to everybody.
And people also have other, causes they want to work with. I know that besides the nonprofit that, obviously we've been talking about this whole time, there's some other causes that are close to your heart. What are some of the things that you're involved with?
So I give to 3 major things.
Okay.
I give to my church, St. Mary Magdalene.
Okay.
I give to Westchester University football because that was a big part of my life.
Did you play football?
Yeah, I played football
Okay.
at Westchester, and my best friends and some of the greatest parts of my life came from that. And I give to our charity, Bringing Hope Home.
Yeah.
And then I got 4 kids that take the rest.
Sure.
So it's pretty easy to do that. And I've served on a board for Westchester football, and I've served in capacities for our parish, and I still go to those things, but my main focus is our charity, but those are my 3 main things.
And I think it's important too, there's so many great causes, as you said, out there. You can really get overextended, and I think you have to find a balance to rein it in. What can I reasonably support? Where can I spend my time or my dollars or both, on a few things to really feel like I'm making an impact.
Yeah, and you got to keep balanced in your life.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you could say the same thing. I could be out every night.
Right.
I could be at a breakfast meeting every morning and out every night till 8, 9, 10 o'clock.
Yes.
And some weeks it feels like I am.
Some weeks I am, yeah.
But I really try to be home for dinner, at least 4 nights a week. Nothing on the weekend, and then we do have events on the weekend.
Yeah.
But you have to be able to step away because otherwise you're no good to anybody.
Right, of course.
So, for example, after our Great Guy dinner on Thursday, we were there till, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, cleaning up, debriefing. We had off the next day. We got together for a debrief lunch, and then we had off on Monday.
Okay. Yeah, because it was leading up to a big event.
Everybody needed a break.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And everybody comes. And then our Adopt a Family program, where we'll supply Christmas for, 200 plus families, we get the week off between Christmas and New Year's because the team needs to recharge.
Yeah.
We're a very emotional, energy-laden company.
Well, yeah, and you're also dealing with people that are going through trying and emotional times. Yeah.
And you need to fill yourself back up.
Absolutely.
You need to fill your tank.
Yeah.
So.
Well, so, let people know how they can reach you as far as, of course, if they're looking to donate, but, if there's volunteer opportunities, like you've mentioned, it seems like for every age group, you have kids in high school and kids in college, and then you have the young professionals, and obviously every age after that. So tell people how they can reach you, get involved, and, where they can find you.
So they can go on our website, which is bringinghopehome.org, bringinghopehome, all one word, .org, and they can reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at BHH Philly, and they can reach out to me personally under Paul Isenberg on Twitter, LinkedIn, all those things as well.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
This has been great.
This is wonderful. And thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next time.